it's being around people who are trying to do the same thing as I am is motivating, and it's good to be able to talk to people and be like, oh, you're starting a business. That's good. I am too. Being in the room with other entrepreneurs, be around what you want to be. It's kind of how I
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah, I
So
mean that and people that understand it, right? Like
yeah.
they understand the struggles. They're real.
Hmm. Like I said, between like I said, you and then Brian, I don't think I would have been able to do this. Like it's very overwhelming. But now I don't want to say like I got it now, but I'm in my ebb and flow of things where like I understand how to get a job now. I understand how to set an invoice now. I know how to receive my money. So I'm kind of in the ebb and flow. Yeah. So now it's just like how to price this next job if they do win the bid and go into Virginia, how much to
Yeah.
charge and all that. But I think I'm just gonna, like I said, normally I charge like 2,500. It's 9 hours to go there, so I'm gonna charge you another 2,500 on top for travel. Um,
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
minimum of
it's the
three
day that
days.
you're missing for work. So you can't
Yeah,
take another job because of it. So you almost have to book it like you're working.
yeah. 3 days would give me 12 grand, and that'd be great. 3 days of work, 2 days of travel. That's fine. So but like I said, the good
Mhm.
thing was I got this just from randomly calling people, and she was like, "Yeah, I've been looking for someone to do GPR. That's great." And she hit me, "Will you
But
travel?"
how'd you get in touch with someone in Virginia though? I mean,
So
you're up in Mass.
because she's RDC Construction, the construction companies they do work all over. So she has a job she's doing in Connecticut. Her company won the bid, so that's how I initially found her. Because hopefully, when they win the bid, because she said their company's probably going to win it, but she wanted me to go up there and do the work for that job. She already sent me all the
Okay.
information. We've been talking, but then we were just on a call this morning. She's like, "How far do you go out?" And I was like, "I do New England." I was like, "I travel to New York," and she's like, "What about Virginia?" And I was like, "I said the price is going to change," and she's like, "Oh, that's fine," because they don't care. To them, if they hit something, it's $50,000. They bring me out for 10,000. They're like, "Whatever, put it under safety," you know. So
Mhm.
their budget for me is kind of unlimited, is what I learned in the industry. Like
That's
whatever.
yeah,
So
so they can absorb that cost, like, it's just part of their doing business, and they just pass it on.
yeah, and I guess it's tax different. So like because I'm considered like safety, I guess it's in a separate tax for the company. So it's even better for them if they spend more compared to other things, from my
Hmm.
understanding, because I'm in like a special budget of construction. I don't know, but something like that. So she didn't even really care, which is I keep saying like I'm so concerned about price, but when I was like the price is going to be significantly more, she's like, "Oh, that's fine, just send it over." And I'm like, I gotta stop thinking like an hourly employee, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still in my head of like, this is too expensive, and I'm like, no, just this is the price, this is what it is. Because so far, every price I've given everybody, everyone's been like, oh, it's great, it's fine, perfect. All right. No one's batted an eye and be like, are you crazy? Which is what I keep thinking I'm gonna hear, you know?
Yeah.
I'm still
No,
getting used
and
to asking for this price, you know? It's different.
no, well, again, this is what you need to hear. You need to be able to figure out, where's that price sensitivity point? Because again, you don't want to lose jobs, but you also don't want to leave money on the table.
Yeah.
Because if you're leaving 20, 30, 50, 100% on the table, you just have to do that many more jobs to make up for it. Because every
Mhm.
dollar you get on top of what you're getting now is straight profit. Like all
Yeah.
expenses are already paid. So if you can make another 10%, that's another 10% of profit.
Mhm.
So
So
I mean, it's a big deal.
I did have a question. So when I do so none of my competitors have their prices listed. I know what they
Yeah.
charge though. It's an hourly rate. I know what their hourly rates are, but they don't have it listed on their website. They say like, "Oh, call us for a consultation and we'll give you the price." Is there a competitive advantage if I just put my price on my website? Well, within reason, and say, "Hey, if you're within this area, this is the price." Any further, a whatever consultation is needed. Is that a competitive advantage if I'm like, boom, this is my price, it's on the website? Is that an advantage to me, or a disadvantage because they can say, "Oh, this guy's charging this. What can you guys do it for less now?" Like, what's the, I guess,
Yeah. Well,
pros and
yeah.
cons of that? You know?
Yeah, well, I'll give you two different scenarios. So one
Okay.
scenario is a company's already gotten a bid from somebody else, right? But they just want at least two or three others just to see, like, what's out
Mhm.
there, just to say that they did their due diligence, right? So when their boss goes, "Did you even shop this around? Like, is this going rate or what?" So if they already have one, they're just looking for two more just to show as an example. If they can get yours just off the website, you might already beat out the other bid, and they'll be like, well, shoot, well, this guy I was able to find and he already beats this one. So now I look like a hero saving the company money. And now I have a high bid
Mhm.
and I have a lower bid. So
I
I
see.
think you could win contracts if your web rate shows less than what they're already seeing.
Mhm.
So I think it could be a competitive advantage for something
Okay.
like that. And yeah, it's simple enough to say, within this area, this is
Yeah.
the standard rate. Any travel outside of that, there will be additional costs, incur. And the
Mhm.
other thing too is you're not making them do more legwork. Like if they have to call and email and get on a calendar and schedule an appointment and sent out for a meeting and fill out all the information to submit for a proposal and get that takes their time. That takes
Mhm.
energy. That takes effort. They don't want to have to do that two or three or four or five times, right? So if you're just giving it to them, it saves them a ton of time.
Mhm.
So more often than not, yours will be one of those two or three bids. You'll always have competitors,
Yes.
right? But at least you're going to throw yourself in the mix by doing that.
Okay.
I mean, the risk to it is really if somebody like you is coming up that has lower overhead and costs and they see yours and purposely try to undercut you. But again, if you got a one man show that's going out there and undercutting your services, so they get a job, okay, then they're busy that day and now you're available and
I
they're
see.
not. So
I see.
it's like I said with the self-storage stuff. Like I let my competitors fill up at the cheap rate. They'll charge 20-30% less than me just to fill up their doors. Go ahead, because
Mhm.
I'm going to fill up the people at 20, 30, or 40% more than that once
I
you're
see.
full and you can't take any more.
Mhm. I
So
see.
they're cutting their profits down to, 30%
Yeah.
or something. I'm
To
keeping
try
my
to beat you,
profits
but you're still
2%.
winning. You're like, "Go ahead."
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
I
Um,
see.
yeah. Um,
'Cause I am
I mean,
working
downs
back on my website. Because I had a friend who does, like, multimedia, like, big companies and does their website, and he actually did a video breakdown for me on my thing on his YouTube to kinda, like, help me out. He goes, "I'll give it to you," but he's like, "Let me do a breakdown on your website," and I'm like, "Sure." So,
Ooh,
he brought that up about the price. He was like, "Hey, you don't have your price listed," and, he did some research and was bringing that up. He's like, "Well, what's the pros and cons?" And we talked about it, and I'm like, "I'm gonna run it by some other people too, just to get other opinions." But so that's another thing that I'm working on is how to get clicks to my website. And he showed me all these like, Google search words that I'm missing on my website that I didn't even know about that I could get free Google like clicks just off having keywords and all this. So I'm working on that too. But
yeah. And
so it
one thing to think about now is people aren't using Google as much, right? For like
no.
search engines, they're actually using AI, Chat GPT, Copilot,
Yep.
things like that. So these things scrape websites. So if somebody like I was just searching for boilers for my house because my boiler
Mhm.
is about to go for my heating and my hot water stuff. So I'm asking Copilot like, "Hey, how much does a typical boiler cost?" Because I started to get some bids in. So I'm
Mhm.
like, "Hey, how much? What is their cost?" So it's literally going on other people's websites and scraping it for data, but then it puts a note on where it found it. So again, if somebody's saying, what's the standard rate for GPR services? If nobody has it listed and
Yeah,
AI scrapes your website and they're like, oh, we found that GPR services are $2,500 a day, and here's the reference. Here's the
I see.
website that I found that on, and they'll
I
lead it to
see.
your website.
I see. Yeah,
So
you know what?
I look
It's
at
it's I didn't
opportunities
even
like
think
that.
of that, but I'm like, you're right, because now even now when I'm like, all right, I need to look at this, I go to AI because I'm like, why Google when AI can kind of bring me to it? And I didn't even think of that, but he brought that up, but he brought it up in like a different way. He's using technical terms because this is his job, but he brought that same thing up, and it skipped my head. But I'm like, because I'm so focused on Google, the big word's Google. You know what I mean? But he brought up AI too, and you're right. If I have that keyword GPR services near Boston area on my page, if someone's looking for that, it's going to come up. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's things like that, like it's the little things that just work. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
then put, like, a frequently asked question page, like, "How
Mhm,
much does this cost?" Because 'Cause they'll scrape frequently asked question pages,
mhm.
and again, your stuff will start popping up on that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's funny now that I'm kind of like I said in the flow, and it's now I feel like I'm doing housekeeping. I'm tightening everything up. Like, yeah, I made a website, but I made a website because I thought that that's what needed to be done, and I put time into it, but not as much time as I put into learning how to write proposals or learning. And I know it's important to do, but it's difficult in my business because marketing, like a Facebook ad, isn't going to generate me a customer because normally when you're looking for a subcontractor, you're in these companies like Circle. So like Suffolk, for instance, if Suffolk wants to use a GPR person, you have to be in their GPR sphere. You have to be a approved subcontractor in their network that's on their computer. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So like, and then they'll call from that. And if they don't have them, I don't know how they find them, but I'm in everybody's system, all the big ones. But
yeah,
I've never heard of someone, I've never seen a GPR ad out. I've never seen it
mhm.
on like Facebook, but I'm like, what's the chances that I'm the one? As my friend would say, don't say they don't, just say they haven't yet. You know, like, should I
Yeah.
be looking into like ads at this point, or should I still just be focusing on, what I've been doing? Hey, calling, introducing myself via
Yeah,
phone.
I mean, it's working. Again, do you have more time or more money? So when you have more time than money, what you're doing, that kind of guerrilla marketing, that's
Hmm.
that's what's working. That's what's and
Okay.
you're getting direct feedback. That's the thing. Like you put an
Okay.
ad out there, there's yeah, you can kind of see the click-through rates, you can kind of see the demographics
Hmm.
on who clicked on it, but you could just be spending money to learn this stuff. Right now,
Okay.
you're spending time, but you're learning
Hmm.
directly from the customer what their questions are, where their pains are, where their price
Hmm.
sensitivity is. That's way more valuable to
Okay.
learn that right now,
Okay.
as opposed to trying to, scrape more stuff up. And honestly, you know, as your name gets out there, like people are going to start finding at least your website. Your probably best bet in your industry is
Clean
to
up.
retarget people that landed on your website.
Okay.
So maybe you start doing like explainer videos, and then it directs people to the website. Then they check out your
Yep.
website, and then you have ads that retarget people that already visited your website, not just brand new general leads on Google Ads or
Hmm.
Facebook or something like that.
Okay.
So, like, actually retarget the people, like, you've seen them, like, you
Hmm.
research something online, the next day it pops up
Yeah.
in an ad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because you've already looked at it, and they know you've
Mhm.
already looked at it, so they're targeting you again. You have a much higher success rate to do
Okay.
that. But
In the beginning, when you were doing it, um, so I have a notebook, and I don't know, like I said, this because I remember you telling me about pain points, and every time I've ever had a customer say, do you do this or do you do that? I write it down. When you were doing yours and you were finding out the pain points for yours, did you kind of do something similar, like keep track of them? Because I know you said that's important, and I'm kind of adjusting my speech here and there to the pain points, but like, how do I want to word this? I don't wanna lose my message to cover the pain points. Like, should I only
mhm,
take, like, the top 3 most? You know what I mean? Like, I'm inputting, like, quality ones. Like, a lot of the time, people are asking, like, "How long is it gonna take?" You know? "How deep can you see?" "Can you
yeah,
scan through this?" And those I'm
yeah,
trying to put those in, but not make it so it's like, "Oh, I'm Veteran Concrete Solutions and I hope you work with me." You know what I mean? Like, is
yeah.
there like an ebb and flow that you kind of found that like, okay,
Well,
this is a sweet
it's
spot. I just
it's
want
a
to hit
fine
these.
balance, right? Because you have to
Mhm.
be able to listen to the customer. They want you to feel like you're listening to them, and it's not just you trying to sell. If it's just you
Yeah.
trying to sell and dump truck information, then they're already on the defenses because they feel like it's a sales call, right?
Mhm.
But if you can work it into conversation, you can say like, most of my clients have these types of questions, and you can bring it into a conversation. Like a
Okay.
lot of, you could say like, oftentimes people will ask me like, how far can the scan go? Or they'll ask me, how long does it take or whatever,
Mhm.
and work it into the conversation because
Okay.
they might have those questions in their brain. And if you can answer them before they even ask them, they're going to be like, this guy gets me,
Okay.
you
So
know?
don't make it as part as the pitch. Kinda like you said, bring it in as like, "Oh, a lot of times people ask me," and then
Yeah.
kinda bring it.
Yeah. And
Okay.
and it shows
Alright.
credibility and experience. Been like, wow, this guy's
Mhm.
been around the block long enough that he knows most of these common issues. And he's
Mhm.
already answered two out of my three questions. But make sure you always give them the option to be like, but every experience is unique. And I want to hear, what your needs are so I can
Okay.
best serve you, or to see if I can best serve you,
Okay.
or something like that. And let them talk. But
Okay.
yeah, just yeah, you don't want to dump truck all your services and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this because nobody wants to hear that. Because if you're not touching on the things they actually need, you're just driving a wedge between the two of you. They're
Okay.
just going to be like, "Oh, this guy doesn't really understand me."
Okay.
So
Because
yeah,
that's one thing I've
a
been
couple
working
out
on
there.
too
Like
is the
I'll give an
pitch.
example. Like when I'm trying to sell a shed to somebody, the first thing I do when they walk on the lot is I open them an open ended question because they're coming to me at this point, right?
Mhm.
So why would you go to a shed lot if you're not looking to maybe buy a shed at least, right? But
Mhm.
instead of trying to sell them on a shed, I don't know what their needs are. So I just ask, and I used to do this when I used to be a recruiter too. It's what brings you in here today? And I
Mhm.
shut up and I just listen, and then, sometimes you get the wisecrack remark,
Yeah.
well, I'm here to
Here
buy
for shit.
a car, obviously. And like, yes, well, we used to sell cars, we don't anymore. We only sell
Yeah.
sheds now. Like, but yeah, oh, leave that open-ended thing, and then they'll tell you their story. Ah, you know
Okay.
what? I just sold my house. My son bought a house. I want to buy one of these. Maybe I want to live in it as like a tiny
Mhm.
home. Well, now I know I don't have to sell 99% of the other crap that I normally sell for sheds.
Okay.
This guy is interested in whether or not he can live in it, right?
Mhm.
And then I go right to that. So leave that open-ended question to see where you're going to steer it, and if they're leading you down a certain path, then take those little nuggets of like frequently asked questions and plug it in there. Oh,
Okay.
you're looking for a wall scan. Oftentimes my clients, when they ask for wall scans, they also ask me one, two, and three.
Okay. I see.
You know what I mean? But yeah, so you don't want to dump truck 20 different things
Yeah.
that you can possibly do. Get them to at least guide you at one point of a potential sale,
Okay.
you know
Okay.
or something.